Hello, my name is Javier Bastardo. I'm your host, and today we are going to have a new episode of Hablemos de Bitcoin, a podcast brought to you by Satoshi in Venezuela. Today we are going to have Sergej Kotliar, that is the CEO of Bitrefill, that is one of the biggest platforms to do e-commerce with your Bitcoin. And we are going to talk about his thoughts on El Salvador, the adoption of Bitcoin, but also about the origins of the business and the idea of creating this kind of services with Bitcoin. Thanks a lot for being here and enjoy this episode that is sponsored by Leden.io, Bitrefill, and Hodl Hodl. Hablemos de Bitcoin is sponsored by Leden.io, a suite of services that help you earn more Bitcoin and digital dollars. Leden products would let you earn interest, ask for USD loans, and get credits to buy more Bitcoin. Their savings account in USDC and Bitcoin in cooperation with Genesis would give you the best rates in the market, working with one of the more prominent and known institutions in the industry. Leden has an exclusive service called B2X that will use your Bitcoin to take a credit and buy the same amount of Bitcoin. And if you need dollars, but you don't want to sell your Bitcoin, you can get a Bitcoin backed loan in 24 hours and you will not need to sell. Do you want to put wings on your Satoshis? Learn more at Leden.io. Remember to visit their website to know the rates. And now we're going to have a message from Hodl Hodl, that is a P2P market with no KYC and not custody of your funds. You will be transacting in a private way using multi-signatures of Bitcoin protocol. You will also have the option to use their Leden service that works in the same way without KYC, with no custody, and in a user-friendly way. Hodl Hodl. And finally, Bitrefill. Bitrefill is the easiest way to live through your Bitcoin. Remember that you will find almost 300 different options to buy gift cards through the platform. So yes, it is easy to live with Bitcoin thanks to Bitrefill. And well, please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Well, welcome to another episode of Hablemos de Bitcoin. We are here with Sergej, that is the CEO of Bitrefill, and we are going to have a conversation about the platform, but also about other topics like El Salvador and the thoughts of Sergej about the final quarter of this 2021 year that is being really faster. But hello, Sergej, how are you?
Uh, I'm good, good. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thanks for doing this interview with us. Bitrefill is part of the sponsor of the show, but it's really nice to finally meet the CEO of the company. I'm a I'm a almost daily user of the services, so it's really
Oh
nice to
wow,
have this conversation with you.
maybe I should interview you then.
It's because the platform of the banks here are making really difficult to pay from the mobile services sometimes, and so it is really easy to do it with Bitrefill. So that's why I'm using it almost daily. But well,
Cool.
Sergey, if people doesn't know you, I want to ask you how you introduce yourself and how long have you been involved in Bitcoin?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm an engineer at heart, and the first version of Bitrefill I hacked together myself as a proof of concept, sort of, to try out what is this Bitcoin thing and what can be done with it. I managed to get access to an API for making phone refills and get it an initial push, and started noticing traffic coming in from all kinds of places that were were exotic to me. From all parts of the world, from Latin America also, but also from Africa, from like India, Pakistan, from Eastern Europe, from Western Europe, from the US, and there was also something that was very exciting about that. Have a like a shop where an American customer will come in and spend $50, and a Bangladeshi customer will come in and spend 20 cents. But they're buying sort of the same thing, and they have the same experience, and and there is this spirit of the Bitcoiners, right? In that even though we don't always speak the same languages and live in the bodily sense in the same country, there is some sort of belonging together with people on the other side of the world. And so that was kind of Bitrefill then kind of grew out of that, out of initial traction, and since then we've been working hard on keeping up and building things based on what our customers are using and saying, but always under the direction of making Bitcoin useful for things other than to sell it on an exchange. Right, and so that's always been the red thread. When in the olden days, when the primary products was phone refills, which it still is in Venezuela right now. But these days, most of our volume comes from gift cards that we are selling in more Western countries, but not only. And I guess we'll get to that. But today we articulate this as live on crypto, but it wasn't always articulated like that. But it's always been, what can I actually do with this Bitcoin thing? And in a lot of countries, it's still the case that Bitrefill is the only thing that you can actually buy, and that is often used like on meetups when the first Bitcoin conversation is like, hey, have you heard about Bitcoin? No, what's that? This is a decentralized internet currency. You can use it over the internet to send money without any trusted third parties. It's really cool. And the other guy says, no, I think it's a scam. It's like, no, it's not a scam. Look, I can send you $5, and then you can go on Bitrefill and buy something, right? And like this is a quite common. It was quite common back then. It's quite common still, and the feeling that there is something that I can buy with my Bitcoins also allows people to put trust in it as a thing, right? The fact that I am able to buy something with my Bitcoins means that I'm also maybe comfortable holding it, because tomorrow when I want to spend it, then I will be able to.
Okay, and when you, I mean, when you discovered Bitcoin, when you get interested in Bitcoin, did you think that this could be a way to make a business or something like that, or was after using it and seeing how we can spend
Well,
or something?
I was, I'd done a couple of startups before in different areas, and so yeah, Bitcoin became an interest, and so it was kind of natural to try something. In the end, I think Bitrefill happened because it was an experiment that was successful. Um, but um, uh, but yeah, I think that. Yeah, I'm not even sure where we're talking. I see you're
Okay.
highlighting stuff in there.
Okay, and in that early days, did you see that it could be useful to others and that, but you have been growing a lot, so I want to know about the change that you have seen
Sure.
with the evolution of the company. What are your thoughts on this process, and what have you learned so far?
Yeah, I mean the changes are massive, but it's been 7 years, which is a very long time as well. This was the 2014-15 bear market when Bitrefill was created and had its first years. And on day one, it was just me, and I still tell new hires that in when I introduce myself, I say that in the beginning I had everybody's job. And these days there's like 42, 43 or so people on this team doing everything from engineering to marketing to sourcing products and business development and all of that. So it's really cool, and it's amazing to see uh, how it's grown. And it's still, I would say that number one motivator is when we hear from customers and people that say that they rely on us for their living on crypto. And I think that's the biggest heart warmer out there.
Okay, perfect. And the business has grown so big that you are operating globally. So I want you to tell us what are your thoughts on working in this kind of reach, in this kind of market, but especially to talk us a little about the experience working in Latam as a developed market. So.
Yeah, sure. I mean, like for us, we have we work with like middlemen companies, so we get access to many different products in many countries. Yeah, we've always had good good usage in Latin America, but it's been periodically difficult to source products. And then there's all of the different special cases, like Venezuela is a special situation in many ways, and there's Cuba is also special, but in a different way. And then you have El Salvador and you have Argentina, which is also special in a third way. And so there's all of these countries where you need to really understand what the things are, and find opportunities for us to help. I think that in Venezuela, we had and still have ambitions to have much more products than just the phone refills. But it's tricky, right? And it's tricky to establish as a foreign company, and to understand everything that's going on. But I would say that like we've always been a global company, even when it was just a handful of people. We always like, hey, if we can turn it on for everyone, we'll turn it on for everyone. And then we sometimes we get surprised by where it gets traction and when. We also hire globally, so we have a distributed team. There's I think 6, 7, maybe 8 now of us here in the office in Stockholm, but the rest of the company is distributed. And so we've always had teammates from the Latin American Bitcoin communities that have been working with us. And we've, I think, for as long as I can remember, I think Spanish was our first translation when we built translations on the website, and so on. But it's fun, and I think it's it's not our most money making markets, the Latin American countries. But on the other hand, our goal is building the circular economy, and I think that there's a lot of opportunities there, not least in El Salvador, where we recently went to and set up a local presence, and are going to be going to a lot. But I mean, I can talk about this stuff for hours. So anything in particular that you want to go into?
Okay, and about this experience building this kind of business, I want to know which are the biggest or more active markets that you have. Where are the most of the user of Bitrefill services?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's kind of spread out. I mean, the biggest markets are probably like the US and UK and Germany, countries like that. But it's also because the volumes are higher, right? So we have, I mean, for example, in Venezuela, the average order size is tiny, right? But there's a lot of users on the other hand. So depends on how you slice it. If you count humans or if you count euros. If you count humans, then yeah, some emerging markets, also India, and the neighboring countries, we have quite a few users. Um, yeah, we have users very spread out. You name a country, there's going to be some Bitcoiners there, and they're going to be using Bitrefill. Um,
Okay, okay. Well, we already see the different topics about the company, but the the cryptocurrencies, which are the most used in the platform, is Bitcoin the dominant one, or you
yeah,
are
it is. It
okay?
is. I mean, of course, it is. But at the same time, I can say that it's been declining. For the longest time, Bitcoin was solid at 80-90% of our volume, and it's been uh, going down quite a bit. Now it might be 50% or something like that. Yeah, and so as okay, now the mempool cleaned up, but if you remember earlier this year, there was a lot of fees and this and that, and it was a little bit like, hey, are we back in 2017 again? Not really, but it was still enough trouble for people to look at other options, and some of them have upgraded to Lightning, and Lightning is growing really well, but also like even more have gone to other payment methods, uh, mainly using other cryptocurrencies. Ethereum is actually very popular, and growing in a good way, and then uh, decent figures from the smaller Bitcoin clone coins.
And have you see grow on the use of stablecoins or something like that, or only cryptocurrencies that fluctuate?
Yeah, no, I mean we only started doing stable coins like a year ago. At first with the Tether on Ethereum, and then now we're doing Tether on Tron, and we're looking at what other options are out there, and yeah, it's in high demand, of course, and it's one of those things where sometimes Bitcoin maximalists will go on about shitcoins and this and that, but like if in the reality of somebody who does live on crypto, stable coins are going to be part of the stack, right? And we can talk how we want about the different limitations from a technical or from security or whatever standpoint, and all of those critiques are there. Yeah, but at the same time, yeah, people that live on crypto use stablecoins very often, and they also use centralized services, and yeah, in a lot of ways, there's the things that we would want people to use, right? But at the same time, Bitcoin creates freedom, and sometimes it gives people freedom to use things that are maybe not always ideal from a decentralization standpoint.
Yes, but because we are seeing an special growth on the stablecoin usage here in Venezuela, and we were a market that was dominated by Bitcoin, but with the exposition to this new kind of
So, what are the top stable value tools used right
USDT
now?
USDT through
Which
Tron.
kind of USDT on Tron?
On Tron, using mainly Binance,
Mhm.
not on the chain, but using Binance that are more, I don't know, like cheap, and also the people is familiar with the platform, so they are using this kind of services, and it all obviously it moved the dominant position that Bitcoin have holded in the market, and I think that today this is the dominant cryptocurrency in the Venezuelan market because people, as we are going through a dollarization, a de facto dollarization through the transactional economy, not because of the state, but because of the people choosing to transact in dollars. So there is not as much dollars as Venezuelans want to hold or are demanding in the internal market. So these kind of solutions, crypto dollars, synthetic dollars, pseudo nominal dollars, and all the stuff are working really good. But especially Tether, I think that uh, at least 60% of the remittance that are in the economy are working through Tether in one or another way. Maybe not directly, but the people that are doing the banking of, I don't know, the Chilean pesos to make them bolivars or dollar here in Venezuela are using Tether without doubts.
Yeah, that sounds sensible to me. Um,
And I'm seeing this kind of process in other countries, in other developing markets like India, like Pakistan, and stuff like that. I talked with people that live there, and they are seeing almost the same path. And the people that already knew about crypto or about Bitcoin before are trying to hold the amount of Bitcoin they can handle, but they are transactionally using Tether or
yeah,
yeah, this kind of USD. Okay,
that
we
makes
are
sense.
we talked a lot about Bitrefill and how have it been going, but you are working with Lightning Network too, and I'm really interested on listen on what have you learned on working with this new technology that allows to use Bitcoin instantly and that serve really good to these kind of services that you offer in the platform. So, what are your thoughts on Lightning Network?
Well, Lightning Network is something that we made a big bet on from the start, right? And this is why we were the first, real world transaction with Lightning, and we've always been one of the biggest nodes, most reliable, and so on. And I think that, I mean, Lightning in the end, Lightning is a tool, right? It's a tool to transfer bitcoins in a good way, while to pay little and to have a good quality of service while maintaining most of the decentralized nature of Bitcoin. And so Lightning has really stabled up lately. We're seeing relatively few issues with it. We've had our first scaling troubles when we've had to upgrade our nodes and things like that, which is cool. Um, like these days, everything that's happening in El Salvador couldn't have happened without Lightning. I mean, like we're doing right now, we're doing around 2,000 payments from El Salvador per day. Yeah, most of them are really, really low value. But if all of this became on-chain transactions, then just that, and would have been a uh, big big impact on the network, but more importantly have a bad user experience, right? And so and we also see that because Lightning requires some of the things from entities working with it, like maintaining channel capacity and all of these things that can break down, right? So we see, what happens when if the El Salvadorians Lightning wallet stops working and then they switch to using on-chain, right? And so we kind of see, we see what happens when Lightning stops working. But Lightning itself, I would say, works really reliable, and I don't have much to complain about. I guess it would have been nice. The more decentralized wallets that people use, the better. But the reality is that people are using different kinds of trade-offs in order to achieve convenience. But we've in the past I don't know how many months, but maybe in 6 months, our percentage of Lightning usage has doubled. It's still relatively low in euros, but it's quite high if you count unique purchases, mainly because of things like El Salvador and some other places that are suddenly generating large amounts of Lightning payments.
Okay, and I want to ask you about the this El Salvador situation, and maybe as you are working with this kind of technology from years now, that you already mentioned it, that the company was building to 2014 2015, so you have a lot of experience to uh, onboard this kind of new markets where you have a legal status that uh, opens doors to do business, and you already have a product and all seems to be connected. So I want to know about Bitterfield's business strategy on El Salvador, since Bitcoin is legal tender there, since Lightning Network
Right.
is the main chain, the main way to use Bitcoin there. So what are your plans to go there?
Sure. I mean, El Salvador is very special for us because it's the first time that we can market. I mean, we're a consumer service, right? But in traditionally in the crypto space, we are in a niche of a niche, right? The Bitcoin users are a niche, and within those, the people that actually use Bitcoin to buy stuff or to transact, to pay and get paid, are a small subset of the broader Bitcoin using group, right? And so our normal world is to be a niche within a niche, whereas in El Salvador, it's a country, it's a small country, but suddenly everybody's getting Bitcoin there, and there's also quite strong incentives for there to arise a successful circular economy. So we're making a bet, probably the last. Yeah, the last strong bet that we did was on Lightning, and right now we're making a big bet on El Salvador, because if there is some place where we can build a successful large scale circular economy, it's probably there. Yeah, and if we're successful there, then all of the learnings will be applicable in other markets as well. Yeah, so we're paying very close attention to what's happening in El Salvador, and trying stuff and trying things that are different and unusual for us. And it's a little bit like where probably the rest of the world is going to end up in terms of Bitcoin usage among the population in some years. So we see it as a time machine and opportunity to there's a famous quote by Paul Graham that like live in the future and build the parts that are not working well. Yeah, and so that's what we're trying to do. And so this is why we've made a policy in the company that the company pays for all internal trips to El Salvador. We're sending people there from all professions, both from marketing and business development and engineers, and to learn and to meet with our customers. In El Salvador, again, like we're here in Europe, we're a niche of a niche, which is great and a good business. But in Salvador, like we're on the home screen of people's phone, and so that's a pretty cool sight. If you ask somebody randomly and they're like, yeah, they call it Bitrefill there. I'm not sure how it happened like that. I don't know if they say the same in Venezuela or not. But for some reason in El Salvador it became Bitrefill, and so and so it's mainly used by large parts of population for phone refills, but also to access like international media products like games and like Netflix and things like that can be difficult to pay for if you don't have a credit card.
Yes, I think that we are seeing almost same kind of use, because we are out of many of the financial services that could
Yeah.
work to pay from these kind of services. So yes, and finally, we are almost closing this year. We are opening the final quarter of the year. So I want your thoughts on this final month. We are heading to the taproot activation in the main chain, but also we are seeing a kind of turbulence on the markets, and we are living through a really strange world right now. So, what are your thoughts
Yeah,
on this final quarter of 2021?
yeah, it's a good question. Uh, from my side, in this industry, we're always excited about the next thing, right? The new tech that doesn't really work well yet, right? Whereas I'm more excited about like what of the current tech that we have can we make to work really reliably so that people can start using it and rely on it. Yeah, right. And so in a lot of ways, we're trying to make things boring. Like we're trying to make Lightning boring. Right, because only when Lightning, right, because it's exciting because it doesn't sometimes doesn't work, right? And so our goal is to make it completely unexciting. Yeah, right. Yeah, you scan this QR code. What's up with that? There's nothing interesting about that, right? And so from my side, like I'm Taproot is great, and we'll support it, and it will reduce our on-chain costs by some percent. It's not a massive thing, other than that it creates opportunities to make Lightning better and to do a couple of other technical innovations on top of Bitcoin. But it's pure tech, right? And so the interesting things are going to be in the applications of it. Yeah, I think the most interesting things that are happening is definitely what's happening in El Salvador, and I would recommend anyone who is able to and is working in this field to go down there, because there's one thing to read articles and listen to podcasts, and there's a different thing when you're I don't know why it is like that, but when you're in the environment, you breathe in the air, you try the things, you start to understand things and dynamics a lot better than you can do on just at least I'm like that, but I think many people are. It's easier to have a practical understanding of things than intellectual, and I think that people right now in El Salvador are very excited about this. This Chivo wallet, free $30 airdrop, blah blah blah. Which merchants are going to accept it? Somebody paid a McDonald's with a QR code. We have one partnership announced and a couple more coming up as well. But the interesting thing with Bitcoin was never merchant adoption, right? Getting merchants isn't hard. Getting merchants is the easy part. You just gotta have the customers, and the merchants will show up because they want to go to where the customers are. The challenge is the customer adoption, and so okay, there's the $30 ad drop, and it seems people are mostly converting these $30 into a bank transfer, into cash, into buying stuff on Bitrefill. Most people are not ready to be Bitcoin holders and are trying to uh, sorry, are trying to cash out. But the interesting thing in El Salvador is whether or not they will be successful at building a circular economy. Like, will they be successful at getting the remittance flows from the US and other countries to start happening with Bitcoin instead? Right, and that's a big challenge. It's a big if, and there's a lot of moving parts here, and I think that those are the things that we should be paying attention to, because that is the stuff that, if it actually happens, then it might change the world. Yeah, because it will set a new example, and it will create a world where remittance becomes a historical relic concept, like long distance calling. It will be something that you can tell children about, that was a strange and unusual practice that people did, and they had to go to special shops, and they bring cash, and they paid a lot of fees, and then suddenly the other people in the other country had to go to a special shop. All of these things, but all of the other solutions that people use to achieve value transfer, right? And if we get to a world where bitcoins can circulate freely in the Bitcoin layer, then we're going to start seeing what it actually enables, and all of the freedom and impact. And so that's what I'm most excited about. And right now we're seeing the onboarding of the people, and we're seeing the initial spike. We still haven't, they still haven't enabled the government wallet for all Android devices yet. But that they will come, and there will be a peak in our metrics, and then it will start going down and to normalize, right? And so the challenge is like where will we find the new normal, and how can we drive it up? And that's what I keep thinking about.
Yes, and this final quarter is the first quarter of the legal tender status of Bitcoin there. So it is really the main point to see things how evolve. We are all closing now, but where can people find you? We are showing your Twitter handle, but if they want to, I don't know, told you about something that they want to see in Bitrefill or something like that, where to find you?
Yeah, Twitter is probably the best. Other than that, you can email me at Sergej at bitrefill.com, and you can also find Bitrefill. And we're very happy to get customer feedback and suggestions and requests. We try hard, and one particular request maybe isn't enough to change the course of the company. But they pile up, and the things that you start to see tens and hundreds of requests on. Okay, then maybe it's time to look here. So we have a form on the website where you can submit, in a standardized way as well, and it goes to our internal systems, let's say, for these things. I very much appreciate hearing from customers and users and other people working in the space.
Well, thanks a lot for your time, and thanks a lot for doing this interview with me. It was a really great pleasure to have you in the show. And well, thanks a lot for the people that listen us and from our sponsor too.
Thank you so much for having me, and we would have been your sponsor even if you hadn't invited me.
Thanks a lot.
You have a great show. Please keep it up.